going to talk a little bit about today is the importance of English language marketing and how we can all benefit from reaching this incredibly large and affluent market. The failure to communicate is probably the most significant failure that we make as business people. Most of us don't have any problems with the quality of our products, the quality of our services. The real issue is about how we communicate our qualities, how we communicate the benefits of our business. And what underlies this video is that no matter where we are, it's important to communicate. Y es muy difícil para mí porque yo puedo hablar solamente en inglés, pero es difícil para mí hablar solamente en español, pero cuando posible yo voy a hablar en español, pero muy difícil pero también importante para mí porque vivo en Costa Rica y estoy aprendiendo cada día español, pero mis niños hablan muy rápido en español, siempre cuando ellos no quieren para mi esposa y yo entender, ellos hablan muy rápido en español. Pero es importante para mí también porque estoy hablando hoy sobre la importancia de hablar en inglés a ustedes y es importante para mí enseñarles también que puedo hablar en español, pero es muy difícil ofrecer esta charla completamente en español. Y muchas gracias por su atención. Pero también es importante decir que la causa de perder negocios, y lo mismo para mí en Costa Rica, es que no podemos comunicar efectivamente. Es muy difícil, especialmente para muchos clientes que están en Costa Rica y en Latinoamérica, a comunicar con el mercado en los Estados Unidos sin inglés. Y por esta razón es importante, esta charla es sobre el tema de comunicar en inglés. Why English?
¿Por qué inglés?
English is the most widely used language in the world. Most people think that Chinese is the most widely spoken language in the world, and it is the most widely spoken language. But it's spoken by people only in China and very little outside of China. Meanwhile, English, while having fewer speakers, is actually the most widely used language in the world. English-speaking people comprise a total of 1/4 of the world's population. In fact, there are more than 100,000 speaking North Americans in Costa Rica. Most people don't recognize that in most of Latin America, there are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Americans and Canadians who live among us, who are doing business among us, purchasing our goods, purchasing our services, doing their best to understand Spanish. But imagine the market opportunity that exists for us as marketers and as salespeople and as business owners if we can create opportunities for people in English. So this talk is mostly for people who are involved with English language business and who are interested in reaching the North American market. But hopefully you'll find value in reaching English-speaking people in your own countries as well. While English is the official language of the U.S., it's also the official language of the European Union. And how many of you, just to get a show of hands, how many people are involved with internet marketing? So a few people are involved with internet. How many of your companies have an active website? Okay, almost all. Very important to understand if you're looking to reach the American market or North American market, or even globally, is that 27% of all internet users speak English. Here's a chart that shows the top 10 languages of the internet. You'll see that English is used by 536 million, Chinese by 444 million, and Spanish by 153 million. All of the rest combined don't equal as many as the English language in use of the internet. Quite simply, if your business is looking to reach the American market or looking to reach globally, the understanding and use of English is critical for the success of your business. And for those of you who are in Latin America, whose market is primarily Spanish, there's considerable opportunity as well to reach people who are speaking only Spanish but who understand English, and many people who find English to be a very comfortable language in which to do business. The key to growth is education. People cannot choose what they do not understand. If people cannot understand your message, it's unlikely that they will be able to purchase from you. Our goal as marketers is to better prepare our customers and to better educate our potential customers in the way and in the language that they'll best understand. Good customer relations, however, goes beyond just the language. It goes to understanding customs, religion, politics. Obviously, there's many cultural differences that exist between North American and Latin American cultures. For those of us who market on the web and who use the internet as a means of doing business, most of the time, the first time that any client will have any knowledge of your business is through the internet. So it's very important that when we're reaching them, we're speaking to them in the language in which they best understand, in which they're most comfortable. Here's an interesting study that I think will surprise most everyone in this room. There's a direct marketing firm called OmniDirect that created a 18-month campaign for two products. One is a beauty cream, and the other one was called the Extreme Bra. Don't ask me to explain what an extreme bra is. I have absolutely no idea. But the way that they marketed these was they did Spanish language television commercials throughout the United States, and they advertised in Spanish language magazines as well as Spanish language websites. What surprised the company was that a quarter of all of the sales that came in through the internet. Their previous research had shown them that they were only going to do about 10% of their total sales via the internet. They expected 90% of their sales to come in through their toll-free telephone lines. However, what they found out was that 26% of the people who responded via the websites, and of all of the efforts, of all of the sales that came in, the majority of the website sales came in through the English language website. That was the most surprising thing for me. When people are these companies were advertising specifically in Spanish, on television, on the internet, and in magazines, and yet the majority of the sales that came in through the English language website. So we looked into that and we said, why? Why is it that people are placing their sales through English language websites? And what they discovered was that the English language websites rated almost 10 times higher on search engine results. They were able to be found much faster. And when they did a survey as to why people ordered through the English language websites, the response was, it was much easier to order, the design was better, and the number one reason that they chose the English language sites, we trust it more. I don't have the slightest idea of why. People who don't speak English as their first language would report that they trusted English language sites more. But what it shows us is that even in the United States, this large market that Jorge talked about, of this huge market of North Americans who speak Spanish, that even this group is likely to be purchasing from English language websites. The important thing is that we need to consider is that our goal is to educate, establish credibility, and to differentiate ourselves. We have to make a choice when we're talking to our customers, not just to tell people why we're different, but why we're better. If someone is on our website, they're already likely to be predisposed to say yes. They're on our sites because they want to say yes. They're not there because they want to say no. They're there because they already believe in what we're offering and they want desperately to say yes. Our job is to help them say yes. So language then becomes important in this transaction. How do we help them say yes to doing business with our company? Most prospective customers will never see your face. They'll never see your building. They'll never see the beautiful clothes that you're wearing. They'll make every decision about whether to do business with your company by your presentation on your website. Building credibility is one of the most important things that you can do to build the sale. Whether or not they see your website, see your Facebook page, or read an article about you online, all of these will have an impact on your perceived credibility. Keep in mind then, if the most significant language in the business world is English, and if the means by which people will find you online is English, if all of your public relations and marketing is only in Spanish, you're missing almost 80% of the entire global market. So consequently, our goal as marketers, particularly global marketers, is to create strong strategies for English language marketing to put your companies in a truly global position. And when you promote your business globally in English, you open the doors to global recognition of your company and its benefits. A lot of people think, okay, we're just going to talk about what we think is important about our business. But when you're a North American, quantity is essential. We take a look online. For example, when we're looking at hospitals in Costa Rica, medical tourism is a huge opportunity now in Costa Rica. As Americans are looking at hospitals to choose, one of the things that they're looking for is, are their doctors lecturing? Have their doctors written articles? Has the hospital been mentioned in magazine articles or as in videos? There may be companies that have been named the #1 hospital in all of Latin America. But if there's another hospital that is mentioned 10 times more often in the press, even if it's secondary to the #1 hospital, the point is the recognition of the one company that is mentioned more often is perceived higher than the company that was actually rated #1. So consequently, in the English language, it's much more important to have quantity about your business than quality. Keep in mind, quality is also very important. We don't want to talk about negative things about our company. But if we have something positive to say, it's important to say it regularly if your goal is to reach the North American marketplace. And the goal is to become a consistent source of quality editorial to be perceived as credible by your marketplace. Last year, we did a survey of 100 Latin American corporate websites. The majority of these websites has as a goal the desire to reach the North American marketplace. We were surprised that 47% of these companies offered Spanish-only language websites. Of the 53% with English language translations, 79% had language mistakes. So only 11% of the companies surveyed were communicating effectively in English. A mistake that a lot of companies in Latin America make is they use their same Spanish language advertising agency to do their English language advertising. And we saw a website just yesterday. I was doing a marketing plan. And there was a dentist here in Costa Rica that was advertising to Americans. And he was advertising his great value for teeth. But his phrase that he used to attract people was, "Trust on us. We'll give you good teeth." No, pero it wasn't teeth. La diferencia es teeth in teeth. We give you good teeth. So, no estoy seguro de decir en español y no voy a intentar. Sí, básicamente es...
Te vamos a dar muy buenas.
Sí, ok. Pero la diferencia es increíble y es mejor para él no tener una página de web de tener una página de web que está equivocado en inglés. Mejor a quitar esta página web y empezar de nuevo solamente en español, porque es mejor para los americanos a leer y no entender nada de entender mal. Okay? So the most important thing is that your website is probably today the most important tool that your company will have for marketing. The most important. And yet one of the most amazing things for me, and it's very much a Latin American trait, is that we'll talk with companies who need desperately a new website, and they'll say, "No, my sister's nephew's best friend, who's a sophomore in high school, is going to design our new website for us. And his girlfriend is studying English, so she's going to write our website for us." And this is a company that does millions of dollars of business a year. And I'm not kidding. What's incredible for me is to think that the entire business of this company in the next 5 years, which will be primarily internet-based, will be using a tool that will probably put off more people. It will eliminate more sales than it will create. So what they'll do is they'll save $5,000 or $10,000, and they'll lose hundreds of thousands. So for those of you who are interested in how to sell to American consumers, one of the most important things today is that if you don't have a website, you simply don't exist to the American consumer. A failure to have a website means that you simply haven't achieved a level of success with your company, and it means that we simply shouldn't do business with you. If you're a Latin American company looking to reach the American market, proper English language translation is critical. In working with many medical tourism companies, hospitals, dentists, surgeons, we will often tell them that the most important thing that they can do is to create a strong English language website. Because if it's not a good English language website, if they don't feel comfortable reading it, they're not going to feel comfortable talking to you when they're in the operating chair. And if they don't feel comfortable right now reading your website, they're not going to feel comfortable when they arrive at your office. So consequently, we encourage every company, whether it's hiring a company in the United States, Canada, or in your home country to hire an English language agency that will do a website for you that speaks to the market, speaks to the traditions and customs of the North American marketplace. Now we'll go through a few interesting internet facts. For most of us who are looking at reaching the professional marketplace, it's important to recognize that 88% of all professionals conduct research online prior to a purchase. And the internet will become the dominant global advertising media vehicle by 2012. Just last year, they projected that the internet would be the dominant media vehicle by 2016. 4 months later, they changed it to 2012 because of the growth of the internet. In the US, time spent online represents 33% of all media consumption, which is greater than television, radio, and print together. And very surprising, 85% of 30 to 50-year-olds and 51% of 65 to 75-year-olds in the United States use the internet regularly. So now that you know that you have to use a website, how do we use your website to sell to Americans? After the seminar today, I have one favor to ask of all of you. If you would please open up your company's website, take a good look, and ask yourself one question. If I viewed 20 other competitor websites today, would I choose to do business with my company based on seeing my website? And if you can't answer yes to that question, it's probably time to consider a new website for your company. Because I can guarantee you that most of your customers are looking at least 5 to 10 other competitors' websites along with yours, and they will do business with the site, with a company that has the easiest to use, easiest to understand website. It has very little to do with price in many instances, particularly when it comes to do with services. The next one to think about is look credible, strong branding. Americans are very brand conscious. So consequently, if your website has your brand and it's associated with spelling errors or with bad language,
con errores ortográficos o mala escritura del lenguaje.
You're doing damage to your brand.
Están haciendo un daño a su marca o a la reputación de su marca.
The next point about website marketing is keep it simple.
El marketing vía web es hacerlo simple.
Many of us will talk for hours about our websites and we'll have volumes of information on the website that isn't important. Keep it simple. We want to answer 3 questions. What you do, why you are better, and why and how they can contact you quickly. Americans are generally very patient people, but they are incredibly impatient online. For the Costa Ricans in the room, it's like the Costa Ricans, they're very nice people until you get them on the highway. Then it's a war. And for those Ticos here, you know exactly what we're talking about. So, now that we're talking a little bit about tips for an easy-to-use website. If you're looking to reach the American marketplace, here are 5 tips for a strong website. Number 1, it should be in English. Number 2, have good photos. I know that it seems like you want to take pictures of your own staff and you want to have pictures of people that, maybe of your equipment or of your offices. That's fine. But make sure that they're good quality photos and make sure that they're on the secondary pages of your website. On your primary pages of your website, you should have good quality professional photos. Probably the most important rule is to make your website easy to navigate. Every single website should follow a 2 to 3 clicks rule. If you can't get to the point on your website where you want to go within 2 to 3 clicks, it takes too long. Redesign it. And one of the most important things is to not have any dead links. It's incredible the amount of companies, even major companies, that have dead links where you click on it and it goes absolutely nowhere. Nothing says that we haven't paid attention to our website in the past 2 or 3 months than seeing a dead link on your website. Now we'll talk a little bit about more tips for selling. As Latin Americans, in my 4 years in Costa Rica, una cosa que aprendí es que los ticos no quieren pedir por la venta. Ellos quieren la venta, pero no pueden o no va a preguntarlo. ¿Pedir o preguntar? Pedir. Ok, los dos. Ok. Pedir por la venta. Es súper importante para americanos que estás interesado a tener nuestro negocio. Si no está interesado, no estamos interesados. Es importante decir la verdad en su mercadeo, en sus relaciones públicas, que decir, estamos interesados a trabajar contigo. Queremos su negocio, pero mucha gente no quiere pedir por la venta. Y en este caso, no va a recibir la venta. Now I'll have to go back to English again. Okay. Americans appreciate a direct, but they don't like a pushy approach to business. Even though most people's impressions of Americans is that we're very pushy people, the reality is that most of us don't appreciate pushy people in return. Of course, we don't like the same things that we do ourselves. But we're very appreciative of people who are assertive. So to understand the difference between assertiveness and aggression, differentiate to the Americans why you want their business, why you're better. Recognize that there are competitors in the marketplace. You don't have to talk about the competitors, but recognize why they're better. And when they respond to you, respond quickly back to them. Now we'll talk a little bit about search engine optimization and keywords. For those of you who are involved in website marketing, you understand the ideas that keywords and search engine optimization is the way that most people will come to recognize your website and to find you. The more that you know these phrases and these words, the greater your chances are of earning their business. Good search engine rankings take time, patience, and if you don't have time or patience, they take a lot of money. More importantly, even today, and let me explain, about a year ago, there started to be a change in the way people searched online. If you remember the entry of Bing in the marketplace, after Google and Yahoo, Bing really changed the way people search and changed the competitiveness of this marketplace. What Bing did was it showed that content is more important. So today you can have all the right key phrases on your website, but if your website doesn't reflect the keywords, for example, if you're a dentist and and you do work in pediatric dentistry, and you have the keywords for pediatric dentistry, but you don't have any content on your website about pediatric dentistry, Google, Bing, and Yahoo
viajo,
don't believe that you're a pediatric dentist because there's nothing on your website that clarifies that your keywords are telling the truth.
y no están.
So consequently, today, it's much more important to have articles, to have good quality content about your company online,
Su contenido en línea
more important than the search words and the keywords.
para búsqueda o palabras clave.
So consequently, providing credible, well-written online content is much more likely to bring you business than having the right keywords.
Continuar con el negocio,
What it also does is it helps us build trust relationships.
palabras claves.
People do business with people at the end of the day, and they only do business with people that they trust.
Negocio con gente
If you're running a website that relies on creating confidence and trust, you need to earn their confidence and trust. And if you deliver
que hagas negocio con
reliable, credible content, you will drive people to your website.
en información.
And English language is going to be the one key to increase your global exposure.
Es una llave fundamental para tener un exposure internacional.
Now we'll talk a little bit about public relations and the power of media publicity.
El marketing, el poder de los medios de publicidad.
Word of mouth referrals
Las referencias boca a boca
always have been
siempre han sido
and probably always will be the top source for new
la
business
mejor
development.
manera para desarrollar un negocio.
And nothing drives the word of mouth referrals
Nada empuja la información boca a boca
with greater power than positive public relations.
que la mejor y positiva relaciones públicas.
As we think about how we want to earn business,
Como pensamos
whether this is in Spanish or in English, this doesn't matter.
inglés, no importa.
Having customer testimonials on your website is critical to creating credibility.
Para crear credibilidad de su producto.
We heard a little bit earlier about negative comments on the Facebook page. We talked with Lorena was talking this morning about how do you manage negative comments on Facebook.
Comentarios negativos en Facebook.
The point is that we do manage them. We don't ignore them.
No los ignoramos.
We get back to the people who have given us those negative comments and we communicate with them personally,
Comunicamos con
never in a public forum.
nunca en un foro público.
We get back to them on a private, personal basis, and we prove to them that we're worthy of their support, that we're worthy of their business.
Y de hacer negocios con él.
Because if we take the time to do that,
Nos tomamos el tiempo para hacer
I can guarantee you for every one person who's on Facebook
persona que está en Facebook,
who tells you a negative
un
comment,
comentario negativo,
and this is without
y
exaggeration,
esto es sin exageración,
there are 500 to 1,000 people
500,000 a 100,000
per every one person on Facebook
por cada persona
who
en
thinks the
Facebook
exact
que
same
piensa
way.
exactamente de la manera.
And one of the last things that we can do is to create well-written press releases and distribute them to media vehicles.
Ruedos de prensa muy bien escritos.
Most of our companies do great work every single day,
Muchas de nuestras empresas son muy buenas,
but we never talk about it.
pero nunca hablamos de ellos.
And yet we'll look at our competitors who get the front page news story or a competitor who's on the evening news, and we'll say, how did those people get the front page of the newspaper? How did they get the news story? And it's very simple. They asked for it.
Preguntaron por ese espacio.
They waited at the front door. They created a relationship.
Crearon una relación
They
pública.
probably took the editor of the newspaper out for lunch.
Al editor del periódico para ir a comer.
They remembered the editor's daughter's birthday and sent her a present.
El día del cumpleaños de la hija del editor le dieron un regalo.
Exactamente. These are all things that create relationships between the media
Que
and our
los
companies.
medios de comunicación
The important thing is to recognize the strength that we have,
reconocer la fuerza del negocio.
especially as an editor.
Como un editor,
Every single day, an editor needs
cada
good
día,
stories.
El editor necesita buenas noticias.
So what is our job?
Así que lo que puede ser su trabajo
Our job is to tell the story.
es decirles la historia.
There's always a story to
Siempre hay
tell.
una historia para contar.
Every single company, whether you're a company like Walmart, FedEx, if you are a call center, if you have a hotel or a hospital, no matter what your business does,
Tipo de compañía
you have a story to tell.
tienes una historia para contar.
The point is to think about what those stories are and to do a good job telling
Y
them.
hacer un buen trabajo contándolo.
Every company
Cada compañía
needs one person at least
una persona al menos
who is the storyteller
que
for
su
that company.
historia, que vaya a platicar esa historia.
And if you're in marketing or public relations or advertising,
O en publicidad,
that's your job.
ese es tu trabajo.
The best work that an advertising agency can do
Tener una publicidad,
or a public relations agency
relación pública, una
is to find those stories that impact our hearts, that move us as people,
que mueve a la gente
and to tell those stories
y contarles
in as many ways as possible.
en muchas maneras posibles a este mercado.
It was Abraham Lincoln, and
Era Abraham-
for those of you who would like a copy of my brochure afterwards, you can pick a copy up.
Una copia de su flyer está sobre la mesa.
But there's a copy in there, there's a quote from Abraham Lincoln.
Una frase de Abraham Lincoln.
And the majority of this quote is that
La mayoría de esta
the most important, when I give a speech,
cuando doy un
I give a speech thinking about 15% about what I want to talk about,
que el 50% es lo que yo quiero decir.
and 85% about what my audience wants to hear.
El 85%. 15 y 20, perdón.
Okay.
I apologize for that.
That's okay.
50% you were saying.
Sí.
You repeat. El
Yes.
15% lo da pensando en lo que él quiere decir.
See, and 85% about what my audience wants to
Lo que
hear.
su audiencia en realidad quiere.
Excelente. So, and the important thing to consider here is a lot of us spend a lot of money on advertising.
Es que
Millions and millions of dollars a year, to the tune of billions of dollars a year in the United States, are spent on advertising. Consider that in most of our major market newspapers,
uno de los mayores
it can cost us $10,000, $20,000, to in the United States, the Wall Street Journal being $150,000 for a half page to a full page ad one time.
Una página de media página o un anuncio de página completa.
But now think about the value
Pero sin pensar en ese valor
of an article.
de un artículo.
How much would an article cost for you to get?
Un artículo cuesta para tenerlo.
Zero. Most of the times we say to our employees, we don't have enough money to hire someone in public relations. We'll say, how much is a salary? $50,000, $70,000, $80,000 for a good public relations person, or to hire a public relations firm?
O una buena agencia de relaciones públicas.
And yet they'll pay the advertising agency, and I'm glad they do because I own the advertising
Y
agency,
eso lo agradece a él porque él es una agencia de publicidad.
but they'll pay us $150,000 to put an ad in the same magazine that they could get a free article in.
En lugar de tener un artículo gratuito.
So what's important is to think about what our markets want to hear,
¿Qué es lo que nuestro mercado quiere
to create the stories that they want to hear,
que quieren escuchar?
and to tell those stories.
Decirles esa historia.
And for those of you who own your own businesses or are in charge of public relations,
Están en cargo de las relaciones
consider this.
públicas. Consideren esto.
We did a campaign,
Hicimos una campaña
and we believe very strongly in social responsibility
fuertemente en la responsabilidad social
in advertising and marketing for our companies.
y marketing.
So what we have done is we work with companies to say, instead of putting $25,000 into advertising,
$25,000 en publicidad,
put $25,000 into
$25,000
donating computers
donar computadoras
to a local school,
para una escuela local.
and to taking your employees into that school and teaching these kids how to use these computers.
¿Cómo usar esas computadoras?
Or like my company does, I dress up as Santa Claus. Of course, it's not too difficult to see why.
Que la hace de Santa Claus y dice no es difícil ver por qué.
That every single year at Christmas time, we give away 500 to 1,000 toys to local children in Costa Rica.
Y 1,000 juguetes para la gente.
Now, we could put that money into advertising. We could put it into maybe some flyers and going out to our clients.
En algunas publicidades.
But instead, what we do is we invite our clients to participate with us. And we create an opportunity for our clients to join us, to give as well, and to gain from that the opportunity for newspaper articles, television stories, radio advertising, all of that for free,
Todo eso gratis.
while thousands of children are getting free toys. It's a win-win for everyone. And I think
Es un ganar-ganar para ambos.
if all of us can go back today and talk to our respective companies
Hablar de nuestros
about the opportunities of doing charitable works
de hacer
for
programas de
our
caridad
neighborhoods, for the people of our country, or for foreign countries,
o en
and
otros
promoting
países,
that,
y promover eso.
imagine the opportunities that we create for our companies and the good that we create for the people who receive our
La
gifts.
persona que recibe esos regalos o esa caridad.
And we'll wrap up talking a little bit about social media.
Hablando un poco de social media o de los medios sociales.
85% of 30 to 50-year-olds are active social media users.
Miembros activos.
The same as before, 51% of 65 to 75-year-olds are active social media users.
También son socios activos de los medios sociales.
This is something that's incredibly important for those of you who are saying, gosh, I really don't want to, I don't think we need to be on Facebook or Twitter. Consider that 60% of Facebook fans and 79% of Twitter followers are likely to recommend brands that they support via social media. Even if companies have never heard of even if people have never heard of your business, if you ask them to become a fan of your page on Facebook, you've just increased the likelihood of them doing business with you by 79%. Now, how many ads, how many sales can you have that would increase the likelihood of them doing business with you by 79%? And 51% of Facebook fans and 67% of Twitter followers are likely to buy from the companies that they support via social media. So for those of you who have been hiding under a rock the past 3 years, the simple truth is that social media marketing is traditional marketing on steroids.
Networking de esteroides como crecido. Sorry, it's complicated.
That's okay.
You should pick less complex words.
I'll do that from now. So social media management tips.
Así que algunos tips para manejar los medios
Let's see,
sociales.
this is strange. Okay. Most people are not going to become followers of you on Facebook simply because you have a Facebook page. You have to make them fans. You have to ask them. You have to engage them. You have to be active in going out and social media and getting them interested in your business. One of the most important things that you can do is to demonstrate a clear value for fans of why they should support your business. Be clear. Offer very clear information and clear benefits for why they should support you. It's not just about asking them. So for example, in the United States, we run a group of community websites. And when we want people to become members of our Facebook page, we'll do a contest. And we'll ask all of our members, which is 3,000 to 4,000 members, and we'll say, refer 3 people to our website to become members, and the first 100 people to refer 3 people will get a gift certificate. We'll get 200 to 300 people who have referred 2 or 3 people. So in one afternoon, we've increased our social media followers by 600 to 800 people in one afternoon, and we've paid out roughly $500 to do that. Now that's less than $1 per person to communicate with that person every single day for free for as long as they're fans of our website. There isn't a more affordable, effective means of reaching your market than social media. The important thing, though, is for most of us is we'll create our Facebook pages, we'll create our Twitter pages, and then we'll forget about it. And we won't go back to it for 2 or 3 weeks. And then when we come back, we say, oh, gosh, the last time I posted was January 15th. I need to put something on my website, or I need to put something on my Facebook page. The key is to be constant and to be consistent. And here's the #1 rule. Keep it interesting or keep it to yourself. There are so many people out there who will talk for hours about things that have no impact, no interest, no bearing on their interests. And they expect them to continue to be involved. They'll leave just as soon as they think that you have nothing valuable to say. Do most of you know the difference between Facebook and Twitter? Do most of you understand the difference in using? I'll talk a little bit about the difference. Facebook, for most people who use social media marketing, is to talk about what's going on today, this week, this month. The difference between Facebook and Twitter is that Twitter is about what's happening right now, ahora mismo. If you're talking with someone about what's happening at an event, maybe you have a car dealership, you can use Facebook to let people know in advance to come to your dealership. But while the event is happening, that's when you're using Twitter. And if you connect Facebook with Twitter, you can do all of your announcements through Facebook, and it also goes out through Twitter. So you use both media vehicles to get your message out. What I'd like to encourage all of you to think about is how much money you spend each year in advertising to get your message out, whether it's a new car model, whether it's a new dish at your restaurant, a new product line. We spend thousands of dollars to reach a few hundred people. But imagine spending in 1 year $20, $30, maybe up to $50,000 on social media marketing. And for the next 10 years, you'd be able to cut your advertising budget by 50 to 70%. That's what we're talking about, is the power of social media. What I encourage all of you to think about is the value of investing in social media marketing, investing in your website marketing and branding, and creating a real relationship via social media and the internet. And when you're able to do this, I guarantee you that you will be able to cut your advertising and marketing budget almost in half. So for those of you who are interested in reaching Americans, we'll wrap this up. The key tools. Okay. ¿Ahora sí? No, okay. Lo más importante para comunicar con los americanos es tener una buena marca con calidad, que es muy claro, a tener una página web que es muy positivo, que tiene excelente contenido y que incluye también testimonios. Mucha gente piensa que ellos no necesitan ahora folletos o brochures. Brochures es la palabra correcta. Okay. Para comunicar con sus clientes. Para los americanos es súper importante a tener brochures. Porque imagínense si tienes una conversación con sus clientes. Y un cliente se ve a su página web por el internet y un cliente envía un correo electrónico preguntando por más información. Su competencia puede enviar esta información en un brochure o por un correo electrónico, pero si no tienes información en brochure, no tienes información escrito, no pueden comunicar con ellos. Y las leyes, las reglas de publicidad son 3. Introducción, recognición y la llamada de acción. Hay 3 pasos. Y si no pueden... do you have it?
If you want to do it in English,
okay, good. Okay. Thank you. So it's introduction, recognition, call to action. If your competition is able to send a brochure that talks about your product or your services, and then they're able to follow up with a phone call or a personal visit, considering what's happened is they've seen your website, introduction. They've received your brochure, recognition. They've received your phone call or your email, call to action. If you only have a website and you're only accepting phone calls or working on the web, you're only reaching to the recognition stage. You never reach to call to action. And if you don't have a good brand, you're introducing your company over and over and over again because they don't remember that they've seen your brand from the first time. If you're looking to reach the American marketplace,
alcanzar el mercado norteamericano.
This is incredibly important.
Esto es extremadamente importante.
To have a U.S. local telephone line
Tener un teléfono
or a toll-free line to reach,
un número 800.
right, for Americans to call you.
Los americanos les pueden llamar.
This is crazy,
Esto es una locura.
but even though Americans have the largest percentage of personal wealth in the world,
Tengan el personaje más largo, más rico del.
they are scared to death of calling a foreign number.
Están muertos de miedo de marcar un número telefónico.
They feel that at the end of the month they're going to get a telephone bill that's going to have a $200 charge for a 5-minute phone call. So if you can eliminate that fear,
Sorry.
It's okay.
$200 con una llamada foránea.
so if you can eliminate that
Pueden
fear
eliminar ese miedo
by giving them a toll-free line,
para darles un número
you're going to earn their business.
Seguramente van a poder hacer negocio.
Additionally, public relations.
Adicional a esto, las relaciones
Create
públicas
interesting stories
pueden
about your
crear,
company.
Situaciones interesantes,
Sí.
historias interesantes.
Generate interest, and that interest will drive web traffic to your website.
Y que los pueden llevar al flujo de su sitio web.
And the last, social media marketing.
En los medios
Be
sociales.
creative.
Sean creativos.
Take some time. Encourage your employees to get involved with social media.
Vayan a los medios sociales.
I can guarantee you that for those of you who don't know much about social media marketing,
Que están en los
your
medios
employees
sociales.
do,
Sus empleados también.
and they would be thrilled to help you understand social media.
Ayudarles a conocerlos.
And when you're talking to your customers, offer real value
Cuando hablan a sus
and be
clientes,
consistent in your communications.
reales y ser consistente en la comunicación es fundamental.
Y eso es todo.
That's it.
Gracias.